Check, check, 1, 2. Oh, it's really loud. But, hello, everybody. This is Amateur Hour. Obviously, we talk about sports all the time. And I'm Roderick. This is my brother Raj, obviously. And then we got Trey again. So, this time we're going to start off with something that we started off last time. It's been a couple weeks. But we're going to start off with Texas. And obviously, I wanted Raj to get his insight on this. But I guess what my question is for you is what has happened since, I guess, the LSU game of Texas? What do you think has happened since that? You can take off the mic if you want, and you can hold it if you want. So it's totally up to you.
All right. Obviously, just like Roderick has mentioned, throughout, I guess, the history and backstory of sports with us, obviously, for those of y'all that don't know me, as far as sports-wise, I'm not as gung-ho as these two gentlemen here, but I do, love sports, and obviously, the University of Texas is my team, and along with the Dallas Cowboys. But obviously, with Texas, been born and raised to root for them, and I love them, and through thick and thin, and especially now. And but to go off what Roderick was saying, I think personally it's what I've been telling even the coworkers at work, and even these two gentlemen here off screen, obviously, is we all know that rattlesnakes. They say that for rattlesnakes to never get bit by a baby one. You know why that is, Roderick? Trey?
Why?
And it's not a joke either, obviously. So. But the reality of it is because baby snakes, that once they bite, they don't know how to control their venom. Obviously, those of y'all that know that already. And I feel like that's what the hype was with Texas leading up to this year. Obviously, winning Sugar Bowl. Obviously, from my hat I'm wearing, winning the Sugar Bowl, coming off of that, coming off a lot of hype. There were a lot of youngsters, and whether if you want to admit that or not, but especially coming out of all the draft with Omenihu and P.J. Locke and all these studs, Holton Hill, and I think after a lot of these guys, a lot of these veterans left, a lot of them came off that high of being Sugar Bowl champs, being, of course, Georgia, another SEC team, after Missouri, then Georgia, and then all of a sudden you have this moment of we have this standard now that we need uphold, and you have guys that and kids that sort of saying, you can say, well, they're not kids, but yeah, they are, the 18, 19, 20, 21, unless you're like, what does then that play for the Oklahoma State, that was 28 years old playing quarterback. But anyways, so you have youngins having this hype, and all of a sudden they go into this year, and I believe leading up to LSU, it was a sense of, okay, we won against Louisiana Tech, we of course spanked Rice, and then it was LSU, correct?
Yeah, the start game of the season.
Okay, so then you have what we have here is you have this LSU blue blood against Texas blue blood team, and then all of a sudden you have this moment of we can do this, and they almost did it. Had some guys had finished off their touchdowns or field goals, and it just didn't happen. And which I do believe, and I think maybe you guys can agree that had Keontae Ingram caught that pass, or had they did some certain things, the score might have been different, more likely. But to answer your question, I know I love telling stories, but to answer your question, I believe right after that game, it was a sense of all of a sudden things started to fall apart because they literally were engulfed in trying to make this happen for this team and making this monument win within the week 3 of their season. That all of a sudden, right after they come off this loss, I'm not saying it basically was do or die for them, but it was a sense of after that game, it kind of dwindled down. Not only just defense got hurt, and then special teams was really stagnant. But then all of a sudden, things start spiraling control in general. And I don't know, it just seemed like after that game, it just kind of like things just started to fall off. The wheels started to fall off the bus, and things started to fall off the track, and all of a sudden, offense, kind of fell off this track of what it was, throughout, majority of the season.
For me, I agree, even though your soliloquy was stupid long. Okay, yes, there was a lot of hype going into this year. Sam Mellinger said, we're back, and I believed it even after the LSU game. I believe that Texas was back. Even though it was one score loss. LSU, number one team in the country still. They're playing amazing, but at the same time, I don't believe in players are young. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he's a freshman, so don't worry about it. You go to Texas with the expectation that I'm going to have a chance to play. I'm going to have a chance to make an impact right away. Because nowadays you see all these kids that they don't get playing time as freshmen. What happens? They enter the transfer portal because they want to have playing time somewhere else. They want to make an impact somewhere else. They think they're better than those guys. So that's why I don't think inexperience plays into it. Simply, it comes down to coaching. I mean, yes, Keontae Ingram missed that catch for the end zone, and there was miscues and whatnot. But at the same time, it comes down to coaching throughout the whole season. There's injuries. Texas was injured throughout the entire year. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, you have to go back to where it all starts, and the buck stops at coaching, in my opinion.
I think to what you're saying, it makes complete sense because I think this whole culture aspect of sports plays a factor into, obviously winning. But not only is it cool to wear, say hook 'em or Roll Tide or, All In. I think that's what Clemson's thing is. Or anything,
Yeah, or something
like that. It's great to mention all these things.
Well, like Boomer Center, obviously,
yeah,
and whatever.
I'm never gonna say that one, but so anyways, but I think it's a sense of where it's not only to create a culture, to create a brand, but it's one thing like the Alabamas, the Buckeyes, the Sooners, and all these other the word is consistent teams have been able, to keep rolling. Is just it's not only a culture thing where it's cool to wear, cool to be a part of, but also it's a thing also done in the weight room, in the locker room, and then as well
in the film room.
In the film room, in the classroom even as well. But more so, it's not just great to be a part of this brotherhood, but it's also great to challenge each other, great to be just like you say, even if you are fresh out of high school, senior, and then you have the potential to start. You have that fight in you to make it happen, not just to, so to say, wear the brand, but to be the brand.
Right. And I mean, I get you, but at the same time, like for me, it starts with coaching more than anything else. Because if you don't have a good coach, you're not going to have a well-sound team. I'm not saying Tom Herman is the end all, the one at fault. He is at fault to a certain extent, but at the same time, it comes down to who he brought in. And he believed in those guys. He believed in Tim Beck, Todd Orlando, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. They got to get it done, and they didn't get it done. I'm gonna let Trey talk for a little bit, since Raj kind of talked a little bit, but
yeah. I mean, I think it's just sorry. So we talk about Tim Beck, a few days just between us three, and right now that seems to be the problem. The players don't really seem enthused anymore. They don't seem like they're handling the situation very well as far as a playing standpoint. Mm-hmm. You're in the Big 12. You hold your opponents to 24 points last week, to 23 points the week before that. If you're in the Big 12, you have to win those games because Big 12 is nothing but offense. There's no defense in the Big 12, and if you hold your opponents under 28 points, that should be a dub for you. But
so hold on. But what was the final score to the LSU-Bama game?
it was 45-41.
So how is that no defense?
I mean, you're talking about the best quarterback, the best two quarterbacks in the country, and the best two offenses in the SEC, and the best defenses.
I just want to make sure that's out there.
Well, yeah, I mean.
But I mean, at the same time,
try to hold Burrow and Tua, and
nobody's been able to hold Burrow this entire year, so you can't. That's literally that doesn't make sense.
How much did they score in Texas?
They scored 45.
That LSU team is literally completely different to what it is now. True. That LSU team, it looks completely different.
I'm just saying.
Joe Burrow has gone to another level. The running back is a lot better.
They changed offensive coordinators. They're not a running team. They're a passing team.
Just because SEC all of a sudden now they think that the spread is so mind-boggling when it's been going on since Mike Leach brought it on to Texas Tech. and then all of a sudden the SEC does it. It's all of a sudden really cool and really fancy. Like
Well, because
Tom Brady-
the Big 12 has been consistent with
True.
Huge
with
offenses,
but
air raid
the
offenses.
air raid offenses, and it's become boring. It's become stagnant to the. That's just their staple.
Well,
The SEC staple is
Yeah.
defense, but now it's turning in like ever since what happened with Tua when he came in and literally led his team all the way to the national championship last year as a sophomore,
then
like
whenever-
high-powered
yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
Then Ogeron wanted to install that with his team because he wanted to combat with Alabama. And
True.
it ended up happening. He brought in the offensive coordinator. He literally developed Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow now is literally, if he possibly
Number one
wins
pick.
out, he'll win. If they win out, he's already the front runner. It's him. Who else? You got Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, and they're even in conversation of Chase Young. But I don't want to deter from that. But my point being is just Texas came in this year. Joel Klatt had them
Oh,
in the top 4.
for sure.
That's how much they were highly regarded.
yeah.
Where was that success last year that you couldn't bring in this year?
And you can't
That's
count-
my issue.
You can't count the bowl game either because all the stars for that, all the players that won that like top 3 rounds of Georgia sat out.
Yeah.
I mean, if they played, that's another thing. Like the
Yeah.
number 1 cornerback who got drafted, or number 1 and number 2 cornerback that got drafted last year was a Georgia player.
Yeah, he sat out.
He's with the Giants right now.
Yeah.
he sat out.
Yeah.
The receiver sat out. Like the biggest playmakers on both
True.
sides of the field were
True.
out.
True.
That's just
But-
been my biggest issue.
But then there's a whole, as far as that goes, that's very true. The Jim Thorpe Award. I don't know if he won the Jim Thorpe Award, or if he was a finalist
I don't
for,
know.
for Georgia. But anyways, those are all correct. But then it goes back to the whole next man up mentality. If that is existent for them.
Yes, but I because he said it does. It's what the next man mentality. Like if you're a freshman or a rookie, I mean,
Mhm.
like you should be automatically ready to play.
True.
I don't
True.
believe in that. I believe playing. I believe playing is part of experience, and you need experience to succeed in college.
True.
Because out of high school, it's just a whole other level in college, and just
Yeah.
like college to NFL, the speed.
Yeah.
The speed is faster. The play designs are different.
Yeah.
The
I think-
like the assignments are different. They change.
Yeah.
Like in high school, if you're a corner and you're in high school, you basically take half the field.
Yeah, and I think obviously I don't want to take too much of the time here. I know you have more stuff to commentate on and talk about, but I think as far as this whole aspect right now, I think we never want to wish anyone lose their job. Whether if it's coaching or sweeping floors.
But at the same time, be honest. Be honest with me. Who do you think is going to remain with Texas next year? Because you heard Tom Herman say we're going to evaluate everything. Obviously, because Tom Herman's still going to be there next year. We know that.
True.
So my question is, do you fire Tim Beck? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you fire Todd Orlando?
No.
Why not Todd Orlando? What's it like? What's different?
He was on the hot seat a few weeks ago. People were saying, "Oh, punch points up. Defense doesn't look good." But right when that happened, right when I'm on the hot seat. Let me see if I can change anything. They've been holding
Stir
their
the pot.
opponents down. The
Yeah.
Kansas State game, they held them to 14. Like no, they didn't score in two and a half quarters.
Yeah, and that's the same Kansas State team that put a good whooping per se, just like Texas did against Oklahoma, but obviously didn't finish it. Kansas State pretty much finished it against Oklahoma.
Right.
So therefore, Todd Orlando really stirred the pot once. I mean, of course, and you can also say once Caden Stearns, B.J. Foster, all these guys finally got at least somewhat healthy, they were able to bring in some juice, and I guarantee you, he probably felt that fire under his seat.
How many times can you remember a team holding a Big 12 offense to less than 30 points in 3 games in a row?
It's true. I mean, yeah.
I mean, not to say that defense is amazing, but
the
you just have to be
the
good in your
defense,
conference
the
now
yeah,
to
that's
finish
what,
off.
that's what I'm saying. I think the defense over these last 3 games has been a bend but don't break defense.
Yes.
They have let them do that, but my issue has always been the offense. You go on the road against Iowa State. Iowa State. You put up 21 points. You're up 21-20. Your defense stops them. You literally get the ball back, and you automatically want to try to run out the clock.
Yeah.
Why are you running out the clock whenever your defense is literally giving you that opportunity to just ice the game? All you had to do is get a couple first downs, and the game's over.
That's where the Tim Beck thing comes from. He reminds me a lot of Scott Linehan last year of the Dallas Cowboys. Very boring. Like you know what they're gonna do. Everyone at home watching the game knew what the Cowboys were gonna do. Run, pass, run. First down, second down, third down. either work 3 and out or work good. But that was the players executing it.
Right.
That offense was just terrible. He may have been one of the worst coordinators in the league. He's lucky he had Zeke and Amari Cooper on his team.
Bottom line. I think I'm more than sure that if they haven't been looking already, even after the Kansas game, if they haven't been looking already from the AD Chris Del Conte, whatever however you say his last name, I'm more than sure that after that Kansas game, something sparked within someone to, hey, we may need to start looking. And I'm not saying Tom Herman, was going against his own guys, but money talks, regardless of what organization or sport you're in. Money talks, and if you're not producing, just like we mentioned in the beginning, with all this hype built up from winning the first home game, because obviously that back-to-back losing against Maryland was not good. And then, so finally winning against, again, Louisiana Tech, but still a team with good.
They always have some players.
Exactly. So, getting off these 2 wins, and then coming into LSU at home, because obviously next season in 2021 it'll be in Baton Rouge, which will be a different atmosphere. But I think bottom line is they're probably already looking into getting. And I'm not sure who that next man up for OC is, whether that's in house or obviously it'll be out of the house, but I don't know who that's gonna be. But they may be already be looking for someone.
Bottom line for me is it comes down to coaching, and I've already said this multiple times with my brother and my dad, and it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, a senior, it comes down to coaching. Yeah. I mean, if you see Trevor Lawrence last year, Trevor Lawrence, I know he's rare, but at the same time, Trevor Lawrence went from leading his team to the national championship like within 1 year. And how do you explain that? You only explain that with the coach knows his quarterback, the coach knows how everything is. Of course, that team was incredibly stacked with first rounders and great defensive line, great offensive line.
Sure that team within the next 5 to 10 years is going to go down, and when they redo this whole best team ever kind of thing, like they did this season, where you had your Nebraska, Notre Dame, Texas, USC, Bama, all of that. I guarantee you that team is going to be in the top 10 best teams of ever. Guarantee.
I mean, I agree, but
they're the first teams ever to go 15-0.
Those teams, those freshman quarterbacks are a new breed. It's starting to look like now.
Right.
Like how Tua was, he didn't start, but you knew what he was coming out. Like, he was the next guy.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence now, he's a beast. Justin Fields could have done something in Georgia, but he was not given the opportunity. So now he's at Ohio State.
He actually looks better than Jake Fromm.
He looks better than Trevor Lawrence.
True.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying, if you look at that battle, yes, it came down to who the coach wanted at the end of the day, but now that you look at him in Ohio State and compared to Jake Fromm this year, it's totally different.
Jake Fromm's an A.J. McCarron in a Georgia uniform. He's a game manager.
Game manager, okay.
He's not gonna kill you. He's gonna just take what you give him.
Okay. Bottom line is, wasted year.
Big time.
That's how I see it.
You could almost say
that's how you can't slice it up anywhere.
Yeah.
Texas had a wasted year, but at the same time, there's going to be a change. We want it to be for OC, and we'll see what happens next year. One more question, and I need yes or no before we get into something else. What are you gonna say?
Before that, I have one thing to say and actually one quick question.
Okay.
So the one thing, should we see Casey Thompson since the season's almost over?
Yes.
See what we have?
Yes.
And a backup quarterback?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't have that. I mean, Sam Ehlinger's good, but I don't have that much faith in him to, go out. He's not going to go out and throw for 350, 3 touchdowns, and lead your team to victory. He relies
not
on,
this
he,
year.
he
not
relies
this
on what's
year.
given to him.
Well, there's only
not
one game
not.
left.
I know not this year, but at the same time, last year he was able to do that.
I don't have
well,
much. After this year,
here's another question to piggyback off that. Do I believe we should see Casey Thompson, which if you don't know who that is Casey Thompson is a kid born and raised in Oklahoma, was gonna go to that school over there that wears maroon, but or whatever, burgundy red, but chose to come to Texas. I'm kind of saying that he might have a better arm than Ehlinger.
He probably does.
I don't know, but even
Ehlinger can't throw deep.
And that was literally one of the biggest things. They have Colin Johnson, Brandon Eagles, John Burt, all these guys that were blazing speed. Duvernay.
They're
So
stacked.
okay, so
They had stacked
so
receivers,
here's
but
here's another question. I want a yes or no out of y'all. Do you think Sam Ehlinger will return for his senior
that
season?
literally was going to be my
Yes.
question. Sam Ellinger is going to be here. He'll be back. That's.
So
But the
he's-
question is,
So
is
if that
he going to be?
happens-
Is he going to be beat out though?
True, because it's still open season.
That's their guy. That's their guy. He's gonna be a senior. No, he's not gonna get beat out.
So
in the season, maybe.
So-
if it's a Bouchel type.
I,
of thing,
I understand.
where he
That's what I'm saying. In the season,
He might.
he might get beat out. It just
can't-
depends.
he can't
Look,
future.
that happens. He stays for his senior season. Last year, he can't rush. I think he redshirted. Okay, senior season. You have Casey Thompson. You have Rashawn Johnson. We don't know if he's going to stay running back or become a full-time quarterback because they're getting a really good stud from Arizona. So far, he hasn't signed yet, but we'll see coming with the next coming weeks if he's going to officially sign. Then you have after Rashawn Johnson possibly staying at quarterback, you have another kid named Hudson Card.
Hudson
coming
Card
in.
from Lake Travis.
From Lake Travis. Then you have another kid coming in from I forget his name at the moment, but you already have almost another
I'm calling it.
another room.
I'm calling it Sam Ellinger to the XFL. Let's do it.
He's not.
I'm just playing.
No. But,
So we all in all. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
So my question is, say the offense coordinator gets changed.
Yeah.
Do you have confidence in the offense as it stands right now? If no one, I mean, I'm not saying no one's going to leave because there's two receivers that are going to leave, Colin Johnson and Duvernay.
Duvernay.
The seniors, they're going to be gone.
Phenomenal guys. Yeah, they're
So,
gonna get drafted for
as
sure.
the offense looks right now without them two and whatever seniors there are, do you
No.
have confidence in that offense?
I have confidence in Keontae. I have confidence in Whittington.
I have confidence in the
I don't have confidence in the offensive line. I don't know where they're at right now. I don't know what class they're in.
It's gonna
You know what I'm
come-
saying?
it's-
I don't know if they're sophomores, juniors, seniors, but if they're pretty young, they have this off season and they have to prove themselves because what really irked my nerves was during the Oklahoma game, they could not block anybody to save their life. They blocked better in the LSU game
I'm telling you that
than they
that
did
was
than
the
they did in
game.
the Oklahoma game.
Who was
That was if they played literally that way the entire season, we might this conversation.
It's a
might
different
be
conversation.
completely-
They're at least 9-2, or at least let's say
that was
even
a high
10-1.
thing, though. They're only, like,
But that's what I'm
it's
saying.
a high, and the only place for them to go is down.
all five of those gentlemen could have literally had almost, you could say, stacked number, because I know they were even saying Cosme at left tackle was putting himself up on the draft board
So,
already
I want-
against
that's
LSU.
That's what I was going to get at. So for some reason, why did that Texas lineman, when they enter their junior or senior season and they're like, oh, top five linemen going to the draft, they are trash after that. Like they drop themselves lower, first round, second round, third round. I mean that's not trash.
The
But for someone
only
to get
outlier
top
though
five-
is Connor Williams.
Connor Williams.
yeah, Connor Williams, but they found a lot of stuff. Like he's not a tackle now; he's a guard.
He plays,
Well, he's a
he plays-
guard,
yeah.
but I'm just saying he's utilized in a better place
He's
though.
supposed to be a top 10 pick. He dropped to the second round, late second round.
Right.
At 58.
But I'm Jesus cowboy stuff.
So I think it's gonna come a lot from, and not only because obviously behind Tim Beck, because going into the season, for those of you that are unaware a little bit of the blueprint of UT's offense, they had Herb Hand come from Auburn, and he was their offensive dude, not coordinator obviously, but specifically for linemen, and he came in. And guys are like, all right, this is our dude for not only a line, because we all know, SEC does have good linemen in general, defense, mainly defense, but as well offense. And as well, he was able to construct some great, recruiting and whatnot on the line. But it's going to come down to also, will he become the new OC? Or will he maybe be the ones to go as well? I mean,
Okay, all in all, last thing, and that way we can move on to another topic, so I can let you go, obviously, because I know you want to do other things. But I need a preaching style, like you call it. I need preaching style bullet points for Texas this year and next year, and it's got to be quick. You got to be under a minute. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Timer?
All right.
I know you.
I'm
we
getting time
got a timer going, and we're gonna give my brother Raj a minute to do a preaching style bullet points and about Texas' season this year and moving forward. Go.
I'm no Emmanuel Acho, but here I go. All right. So UT, waste of a year. look past it. Like the word says, dust your feet off, move forward. From now on, look forward to what you can do. You have all the stars. You have everything that anyone would love to have, from TCU all the way to FIU. God bless you. So with that being said, again, Tim Beck, sorry about you. You can find a job anywhere else, even at Walmart. As well, Todd Orlando's got to step it up to another level with these guys. Maybe change it from 3-4 to something, maybe 4 down. I don't know. But something new. All right, guys? Again, recruits are coming. Guys want to be at Texas to play. Let's make it worth their while. Let's make it worth more than just a brand. Texas is going to be back. Maybe not next year, but sooner or later. I look forward to seeing what happens at Texas Tech this Friday. Look forward to seeing what's going to happen in 2021 with this recruiting class and with everything that's going to be happening. Love you guys.
Under a minute. That's what I like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Raj.
Trey.
Thank you, bro.
guys. Amateur Hour. Hey, these guys know what they're doing. Look forward to seeing what's to come. Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
So I said to skip the whole. We were talking about college football anymore, but let's just go straight to Cowboys because I
Right.
don't think we can do three.
Nah, because we've already talked about college football for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, next topic that we have
I
on
know,
our
Mike
agenda
Mall like
is
this.
pretty much the Dallas Cowboys. If you know both of us, you know that I'm a Cowboys fan. I am a Cowboys realist, though. I'm not one of like those home wreckers that we're gonna go to the Super Bowl every freaking year. That's not gonna happen. Okay, that's how I see it. But my thing is where do you go from here after watching? You watched the game yesterday, right?
Yep.
Where do you go from here after watching what happened and how the style it happened yesterday?
I don't think you can kind of predict how the rest of their season is going to go after that loss because there's so much against them. So, I mean, obviously you're playing the GOAT, Tom Brady. It's in Foxborough. The weather is terrible. It's cold. It's rainy. The Cowboys practice inside in the Ford Center, and they play inside Jerry World. They're not used to that. Every time Dak's played in the rain in his professional career, he hasn't done well. That's why the gloves came on, and he was doing a little better. But the whole thing with that is coaching. Obviously, it's the coaching. The defense played well enough to win that game against
If you hold
Brady.
Tom Brady to 13 points,
Exactly.
that is good
Obviously,
enough for
the
you
weather,
to win.
The weather just didn't mess up the Cowboys, mess up the Patriots also. But
Right.
the defense did what they had to do, and the offense, they ran down the field a few times, but it's the rain. They were drop passes. It was just sloppy. The penalties. The biggest thing for the offense, for some reason, it's the line. They're not able to, just have a clean game. It's always something.
It's not consistent. The line's not consistent. Like a series, they're doing really well,
Yeah.
but then it becomes stagnant. Like the next series, they can't hold, and Zeke's running for like 1 yard, if not negative yardage.
He did well yesterday because the Patriots' run defense isn't that great.
Right.
He did well. Him and Tony Pollard did well, but the thing was, when it was first down run, second down run, it got to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, they set themselves up to pass, and that's not a very good thing to do when it's raining and Dak hasn't been playing that well. The receivers are dropping balls going through their hands. But at the end of the day, special teams was the thing. Whoever won the special teams battle yesterday was going to win the game.
Right.
And that was preached up to both teams. And don't ask me how I know that. I know a lot about the Cowboys for some reason. The block punt. Some people say if that didn't happen, it's a different game. I mean, it would have been a different game.
But because it's
was a
it's
short
more of a
field.
game. It's a game of field position
It's
at
a
that
short
point.
Field, 20 yards, and N'Keal Harry is a huge receiver. First round pick out of Arizona State. Like that's why they got him at the end of the first. Like he's a huge receiver, and they're gonna use him when he's healthy. And just like they did yesterday, Byron Jones, the number one corner, and the Cowboys couldn't body him up like he usually does with other people.
Right.
But what do you like? What did you think
For
about it?
for me, it comes down to play calling. Specifically on the offense, like you said, the defense was great. The defense did what the defense basically did what they're asked to do. That's all.
Fun fact, both teams yesterday was a combined 5 for 27 on 3rd down. It's not good for either team.
Obviously, I understand that, but at the same time, my thing is it just comes down to play calling. Like you said, you're doing great on first down. You get good yardage. Second down, you get good yardage. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, or 3rd and manageable. That's my thing.
Yeah.
They go to the pass. But my one thing that I haven't seen a lot of ever since the beginning of the season is Dak Prescott's legs.
Yeah, but so
No. I just feel it's obviously Dallas in this game. I'm not saying the entire season so far they should have ran the Dak more. I'm saying in this game it should have been at least a little bit more than probably about a zone read, maybe about a handful of times during the game.
So this is a good segue to what I was going to say. So I have it here. Not exactly, but I have what I had on the notes. See, so the Cowboys have a theme every year. Last year was fight. The year before that was I forgot what it was, but they have a theme every year. This year is be who we are. You can't be who you are in cold temperatures, rain, and Foxborough. You can be who you are in the Cowboy Stadium when there's a nice 70 degrees. You set the temp to that. When it's perfect weather, you can control the weather. You can be who you are. But when you need to make adjustments, that's the thing with the coaching staff and that team. They do not make adjustments. They think they can be whoever they are, anywhere they go. And that's not it. Bill Belichick made adjustments. He, obviously the weather, he knows how to go in there and say, we're going to do this because we can't do that because of the weather. The Cowboys just try and do whatever they do in perfect weather, and it didn't work. So, to me, the coaching staff needs to make a change. No more be who you are crap. Go up to the team, tell them we need to change this, and execute.
I understand that, but do you think it's more on because we know the defense is stellar. The defense just do what they do.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But throughout the season, minus maybe like 2 games or 3 games throughout the season,
yeah.
they've actually performed like they've been plastered. Dallas's defense since last year has been plastered as like a legit defense. Mm-hmm. They got good players. They added Michael Bennett. DeMarcus Lawrence got his money, and he's showing that he deserves that money.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. He deserves that money.
The front 7 is set, and the DBs are coached by one of the best DB coaches in the league. Well, I know his name 99 out of 100 times. Not right now. Wow.
Okay. Anyways, so my thing is
there you go.
okay. There you go. So, do you think that it is more on Kellen Moore, or do you think it's more on the Jason Garrett?
I think it's more on Jason Garrett. I don't know if Jason Garrett's letting Kellen Moore take full control of the offense.
Mm.
Because look at the first few games they played. Obviously, bad opponents, but they were doing so many different things you've never seen from the Cowboys do before. After
it's mixing it up. That's what it was.
And it's like the same plays, but it's just different looks.
Right.
And now they're going back to the looks to where it was like last year. It was Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett, making game plans for the offense. I mean, there's some plays you see, okay, that is Kellen Moore right there. But also some plays where you're like, okay, that's Jason Garrett. So I think it's Jason Garrett. So people say like, oh, Jerry Jones is never going to fire Jason Garrett. That's his boy. Right?
But do you think after what he said to the media yesterday?
I was going to get into that. Do you remember what he said?
I don't. Well, he said something has to be done or something like that.
Yeah. So basically, he was just talking about how special teams is all about coaching.
Right.
Like, people don't come in the league. I mean, people come in the league and they're a very good special teams player, but they're in the NFL, and you need to coach them up to be these special teams like stars. Which like a Patriots, I don't want to forget his name. The Cowboys used to have one. J.J. Wilcox was one. And Jeff Heath was one before he became a starter. But it's all about coaching. That's what he was saying. Special teams all about coaching, and they got out-coached by Bill Belichick. Jerry Jones is a half glass full type of guy. He's always optimistic about everything, and everyone knows that.
But he's been optimistic up to this point.
That's what I'm saying. But like after that, this is where it comes in where I know too much about the Cowboys. So like in that interview, he used a variation of upset or disappointed 15 times in that interview.
Yeah.
Like a different word, basically said I'm upset, disappointed, but just different words. He said that 15 times, and that is not a Jerry Jones interview to the fullest. Not to the fullest. Like, it's not a regular Jerry Jones interview.
Okay, yeah, but for me, the emphasis of the interview was that he's realizing I need a Super Bowl, and I need another Super Bowl because I don't know how many years I have left.
Yeah, and he's doing as a GM, people are dogging him for being a GM. This is the best team on paper since
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
it's
the 95
on paper,
Super Bowl.
But you can't. You're trying to.
But as a GM, that's your job.
Of course, no, that's what I'm saying. As a GM, he constructed a really good team. Weapons beyond, not weapons, but beyond anything. But I'm just saying, they could be a top team as far as offensive efficiency.
I think they have
but
the best
what's
trio
happening
in the league. It's the coaching. The coaching.
I'm not. I understand. It's always been coaching, but my thing is it Jason Garrett or is it Kellen Moore?
It's not Kellen Moore. You can't blame a young OC on this. Like, it's his first year as OC ever. Like, he was a quarterback coach, and then he was a player like 4 years ago, whenever Dak came in. But it's, I think it's Jason Garrett. You can't blame Kellen Moore for that because just they got out coached. Like, so in the game, did you see the punt where Bill Belichick took that returner off and they put 11 on the line?
Yes.
So the Cowboys are so confused by that. They took a delay of game. And they did that again, and the Cowboys had another penalty. And so instead of downing them inside the 20, they only gave up. I mean, they punted. It was basically a 20-yard punt from where they were.
Right.
So the field position was terrible. I mean, obviously I'm not a coach, but if 11 guys up, I feel like that's not a drastic change to where you're going to take a delay game. Everyone's scrambling. That's just the Bill Belichick was like, go. Like, no, nobody's going to be back here. We're all going to rush. And the Cowboys like, whoa, what the heck's going on? I've never seen this before. Oh, my God. Like, what do I do?
Right.
And delay game. They kept backing up. And it's just those little things. Like, the Cowboys need to do the little things like that. They need to do just no. Hold on. Sorry.
But my question to you is at the end of the day, can Jason Garrett save his job?
Yeah, but
what's it going to take though?
NFC Championship.
It's going to take at least that's what I think. I think it's going to at least take an NFC Championship.
Knowing how Jerry Jones is, I think it's going to take them to at least getting there, not to win it, but getting there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like they would have, because they're not going to get a first round bye. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get home field advantage just because the way they're playing right now and the way everything's been. Like, yes, they're in the NFC East, right?
Yeah.
NFC East. The NFC East is garbage. The NFC East is trash. Like,
they have two good teams, just the Eagles and the Cowboys.
I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys, but the Eagles are 5-6. The Cowboys are 6-5. So that doesn't really show anything.
Yeah,
you look at all the other teams. Green Bay's 8-3. You have San Francisco that just destroyed Green Bay.
That's what happens.
You have New Orleans up there too, and you have who else? Who's in the wild card right now? For the NFC.
The Eagles, the Vikings.
No, the Eagles are on the hunt because the Vikings had. I think they have the wild card.
The Vikings in.
And then who else?
Seahawks.
The Vikings and the Seahawks. You can't tell me that the Cowboys can beat one of those teams, any one of those teams right now.
I mean, I don't.
Yes or no?
I think they can beat Minnesota. I mean, not Minnesota. Who do we say? Yeah,
Minnesota or Seahawks.
Oh yeah, I think they can beat Minnesota. The Seahawks, no.
They can't beat the Seahawks. They can't beat Green Bay. There's no way in heck they're going to beat San Francisco.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
if everything goes well,
if everything
goes well with them, if the offense is clicking, so the line is playing like they need to be, the defense is clicking like they have been, the special teams unit is doing well, they can beat a lot of teams. They can beat a lot of elite teams. Like, honestly, I think if that game yesterday was played in a better condition, I think the Cowboys win that game.
One other thing that made me really mad, real quick, before we switch gears into the one thing that we were arguing about yesterday over text, and so one thing that we talked about, one thing that I did not like is that it's 13-6.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 3rd and 11. You get it down to 4th and 7. You're in the red zone.
Yeah.
Why not go for it?
No trust, I guess.
That's my thing, though. Like, did Jason Garrett not have trust in his offense, or did Kellen Moore not have trust in his offense?
No, it's Jason Garrett. Everything. So, I don't know if you know this, but everything that gets called, as far as Kellen Moore, every play gets called, it comes to Jason Garrett. So he has the power to say, I don't want to run that. I don't like the look of this, or it's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens every play.
Right.
But I think what I said to somebody yesterday is like, so let's say they didn't get it, right? I mean, obviously you hope they got it. They didn't get it at 6-13. They still have to come down and score a touchdown, correct?
Yes, but I'm saying
so if they kick that field goal, they still need to come next drive and score a touchdown.
That's my thing though. Like, if you score a touchdown, all you need, your defense is playing really good. All they had to do was create a stop. Then you just drive down the field.
Yeah, that's Jason Garrett not trusting his defense, I guess. Even though he gave him all the reason to trust him. But I don't know. I mean, actually, I don't know why I said that. I think kicking the field goal shows that he did trust the defense and the offense. I know I just went back.
I don't think he trusts his offense enough. Even though if you don't get it, for instance, they're already backed up. They have to drive. They haven't been driving that much down the field.
Yeah, I know. But
that's what I'm saying.
You still need to go down and score a touchdown.
Either way, you would have forced overtime, or you would have won the game.
Exactly, but how would you have won the game? score a touchdown, then a field goal, right? So why is
Exactly.
Why is it different in the other order, in the other way? You still need to go down and do it.
Because if you have trust in your offense, then that creates momentum. Let's say they get the first down. Let's say they scored a touchdown.
Jason Garrett, though, he hasn't shown that he's up to, like, you know.
He's not there to risk it all. That's the thing. He's not put his chips on the line.
He's become better with it in better conditions, but he's still not to that point of let's do this. Like, let's go for fourth down, fourth and 5. Let's go for it. He doesn't do that. He goes to the 4th and 1, 4th and 2, the manageable options. And for right now, with this offense, this defense, I think the Cowboys need a coach that's going to be gun-ho. That's why I think they need to.
Who do you think they should get?
Chris Richard.
You think they should get him for OC?
They promote no, the DC.
Oh, sorry,
not even the DC. He's the DB coach.
DB coach.
But
He should go up to head coach.
Yes,
Okay.
because the Cowboys they hire within. They don't.
Yeah, we all know that.
They don't ever go out and get this like shiny new toy.
Where's he from though?
Chris Richard?
Yeah.
He was the Seahawks DB coach and defensive coordinator.
Okay, so but
he made Earl Thomas. He made Richard Sherman.
exactly.
He made Cam Chancellor. Like, he was the one who coached them up to be what they are now.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you would say if Jason Garrett doesn't make the NFC Championship, he's gone this year. He's gone after this year. Because I think
so.
I think they can make the playoffs. Obviously, they can make the playoffs as a 9-7 team.
Their schedule
They have
is
to.
very tough so far. Like, these next few
These next few
weeks
games obviously are tough, but my thing is just they have the ability.
Do they though? They haven't beaten a team that's over 500.
I understand that, but my thing is just they have the ability to do it. It just all
They
goes
have
back.
the players to do it.
I know they have the players to do it. That's just my thing, though. They need to have Jason Garrett literally say, "We are going to put our chips in. It doesn't matter because I'm going to risk it, and maybe he will risk it in better conditions.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who's to say? But in this particular game that happened yesterday, bad conditions. He wanted to play it safe, and it bit him in the butt. And whether or not that was a tripping call, by the way, the NFL did come back and say that it wasn't that both calls should have not been called. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. I don't like it whenever the NBA, the NFL, teams like that, the officiating, they literally come back the next day and they're like, "Yes, we missed a call." We all know it happened.
Well, we know, but they do it to fix the ref's mistakes. So the refs next time that happens, and it looks the exact same. They're just like, okay,
yeah, but what happened before that? Before the 2-minute drill, before this, but before what the NFL instituted, what happened before that? They just talked within. So why do they have to let everybody else know? We all know what we saw.
No one understands the NFL as far as the front office. No one understands it. No one understands what a catch is anymore. Sometimes, or a targeting. Like, there's so many rules that they say and they do, and just like it goes over our heads. And there's so many things that they do, just like, really? Like, why? Like you say, like, why are you telling us now? But they have a reason for everything. They're the NFL.
At the end of the day, you know, we're Cowboys for life, so it doesn't really matter. I just want to see the Cowboys actually go back to relevancy and actually to those seasons where they are 13-3, they're 11-5. You know, they're doing well, but they don't disappoint you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
so far after
alive,
the late 90s,
go together.
Huh?
As far as I've been alive, the Cowboys and disappointment go together.
Exactly. They run in parallels right now until we find out. And by the way, Ivan Diaz, we know the Cowboys are trash. They're trash right now, but they're not as bad as the Steelers. Okay?
Jesus.
The Steelers are garbage.
Okay, they might make the playoffs.
No, I don't believe in the Steelers at all. For me, I don't believe in the Steelers. Doesn't matter. But moving on to our next topic, we had...
How long have we been going?
Huh?
How long have we been going?
We've been going for about 30 minutes. No, hold on. About 9:05. About 9:05.
Whatever. Okay, go ahead.
Go Steelers, yeah, whatever. You know, go Cowboys. That's what I say. But the biggest argument that me and Trey had yesterday.
So stupid.
No, I'm very strong about it because listen here. This is what I think. I think the starring system of high school players is a waste of time. I think it doesn't tell the whole story. Just because you have just because you have a label doesn't mean it tells the whole story.
But it's not the whole story. Everyone knows it's not the whole story. If it was the whole story, scouts wouldn't go watch them.
But I understand that. But if you're good enough, you don't need the stars. That's my issue. That's where analytics come into play. The analytics are just there.
How else do you rank players?
You don't. That's the thing. You don't
have to rank. You
don't have to rank them.
As a college team who only get an X amount of scholarships, you have to rank your players.
Obviously, you go within the state, but at the same time, That's why you have That's why you have recruiting guys that you hire. It doesn't matter.
How do you tell? Who do you tell your recruits to go watch? You can't just be like, okay, this guy, he's pretty good. Go watch him. It's easier for college to send their recruits to another state. It's like, go watch these 3 5-stars, go watch these 2 4-stars, and then go watch a handful of 3-stars. It's easier for them to say that rather than go, this guy's pretty good, this guy's pretty good. Go watch these kids. It's the star system has been going for how long, and it hasn't messed up anything, and people aren't arguing against it.
I just don't think the star system is needed. I don't think it is. Just because if you're good enough, you're going to be noticed. Shannon Sharp, literally. Shannon Sharp. Okay, I mean Shannon Sharp. He didn't talk about his high school career, but he talked about his college career, and he was wondering why can't if I'm going to this small college, why can't I transfer to a big college? And his coach literally told him, "Son, if you're good enough, you're going to get noticed."
Yeah, it happens. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though, because in college, you're not technically, yes, you kind of are ranked, but at the same time, guys that are not highly looked at.
Do you know how many kids there are in high school that play football?
But I understand that, but at the same time,
do you understand how hard it is? Because there's so many D1 athletes, but there's so many pro scouts out there. They watch every tape. They have area scouts that watch every game. In high school, it's so much harder. There's almost 2 high school every town. How the heck are you going to notice every good kid without starring them?
I understand that, but at the same time, for me, even a 5-star can be outplayed by a 3-star.
In college, yes.
In college, yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you say that this kid is better than this kid when this kid can actually ball more than he can?
Because he was in high school. In high school, it's just if you're the better athlete, you're going to get on the field and beast it up. In college, it's more system. It's more you need to know what you're doing. So if a 5-star isn't smart enough to know what he's doing and they're not that good of an athlete in college, then a smarter 3-star could beat him out.
My thing is just if you took away the star system, there would still be colleges that know how to recruit.
There'd be more kids that go unnoticed in the star system. I mean, without the star system.
I don't know about that, but
you know how many 1-stars there are? There's a lot of them. And you know how many 5-stars?
Obviously, there's 1-stars.
You know how many 5-stars there are?
Few.
There's a very few, and they earn those. You can't like that's not really. If you're saying that's not fair to people, why are you saying he's better than him? Because he is. How are you gonna say it's not fair?
Yeah,
for
but at the same time,
to get what they deserve?
But at the same time, you have guys that play in let's say 4A of high schools in different states, and it's a totally different scale that they're playing on than let's say somebody playing in Florida. Let's say somebody playing.
If they dominate, they're gonna give them the high star.
Yeah, but if they dominate, if there's no competition, if they dominate, how are you gonna tell if this one's better than this one?
In college, you'll see.
I understand that, but then why do you have the star system?
That's kind of a hard thing to balance as far as like 4-star. I guarantee you they have a way of doing that. I guarantee you because like the same thing in college. If I'm trying to think of the school, but Ali Marpet, he's the guard for Tampa Bay. He ended up going in like the 2nd, 3rd round. He went to this Hobart College. No one's ever heard of it. I guarantee you no one here has never heard of it. It's Hobart College. It's a small D1 school. He got invited to the Senior Bowl, and he dominated. And now he's a starting guard for the Bucks. But as I'm saying though, he needed to dominate his competition, and he did. That's why he got noticed. These kids who are these 4 or 5-stars in these like 3, 4A schools, they're dominating competition. They have to be. That's how they get the stars.
Yeah, but I understand if you're dominating that, but then let's say if this kid goes on. Let's say
it's not like they're just watching him. Okay, he's really good. They're watching everything that he's doing as far as his feet, if he's a quarterback, his reads. Like they're actually watching. They're projecting how they're gonna do the next level. It's not just he's good. I'm gonna give him 5 stars. It's he deserves the 5 stars, and his intangibles are there.
I get it, but at the end of the day, Trey as a star. That's funny. At the end of the day, I don't think it's necessary. It's a helpful tool, but I don't think it's always. I don't think it's a liability if you don't have it.
I mean, it's not. I mean, there's some no stars. I understand that, but those are rare. Like J.J. Watt was a 2-star athlete coming out of high school, but
You have Jefferson and an LSU that I sent you literally yesterday, who's
Yeah, I
literally
mean,
who literally was like ranked 1,200
It happens.
and had no stars, and now he's a top wide receiver
it
at
happens,
LSU.
but it's those small, very small high schoolers that don't get noticed because they're just a small high school that don't get they never have players. Like Josh Jacobs, he ended up being a 4 or 5-star because he literally sent his tape to like almost every D1 college, every major D1 college. Somebody saw him watching football, started giving him tape. Like they recorded his games and they sent him out. It's just hard. Sometimes it's hard to get noticed if you're a tiny school, but they end up coming out. They end up going to these little like walk-on things at colleges and they're noticed. It's not I mean, I'm not saying it's a flawed system, but also it's not a foolproof system, obviously.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though.
But
Like
the stars help it more than.
in any system though, like there's gonna be players that fall through the cracks. I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't think stars are needed. But at the same time, I don't think stars are particularly needed in instance of like this guy's a 5-star, this guy's a 2-star, this guy's a 3-star. But at the end of the day, we're always going to agree to disagree. So, moving on, we're going to agree to disagree on that topic. But moving on to our last topic of the night is the NBA.
Okay.
Is the NBA right now? We're almost 20 games in. 20 games into the NBA. Who is your MVP?
MVP?
Who right now is your MVP? Because right now, my biggest issue is that some people are still putting James Harden in the conversation.
It's between Luka and Giannis.
You still think Giannis?
Have you seen his numbers? Are you kidding me? Let me look this up for you.
This is before we get into Luka and Giannis. My issue with James Harden is that everybody's saying James Harden scoring ridiculous numbers. Look how many shots he's taking. James Harden is taking so many shots. His free throw percentage is ridiculous because literally he's taking. I think there was a stat the other day that he's taking more free throws than one team in the NBA right now.
Probably.
It's just no. I understand that, but my thing is, you can't tell me he's MVP level whenever he's taking way more shots than Russell Westbrook. By the way, Russell Westbrook isn't even playing that good this year. He's subpar.
Yeah.
He maybe has like about a good couple games, but other than that, he's been subpar this entire year so far, and we're just almost a quarter of the way through the NBA season. So my issue with James Harden is that he shouldn't even be in the conversation because of the amount of shots he's taking and the usage rate that he's going at.
That happens every year, though.
I know it happens every year, but my thing is, it's just people don't look at that. It's just James Harden. Like the other night, James Harden scored I think 41 points, but he took 39 shots to get there.
Yeah.
Like how in the heck does that happen? And people are thinking he's one of the great premier scorers. You can't. Yes, Kobe Bryant was that same way, but Kobe Bryant was more efficient. I think Kobe Bryant was more efficient, and he was more of a killer and assassin. James Harden is more of a foul artist. James Harden, yes, he can shoot the three whenever he wants. Yes, he can drive to the lane, but at the same time, when he's driving to the lane, he's not really looking to get.
He's looking to go to the line.
That's what I'm saying. He's not looking to go to get his points, and possibly the and one just comes along with it. But at the same time, when his usage rate and his shots it's too much. I don't think he's in the MVP conversation. To me, I think it's. I agree with you about Luka. I don't know anything about Giannis that much because I don't know his numbers.
He literally did not skip a beat since last year. Let's just go with that.
The only stat that I know about Giannis that he actually is doing well at is he's doing very well in his 3-point percentage.
His 3-point
Last
percentage
year.
29.2.
No, I'm talking about last month. Last month, his free throw, his 3-point percentage was 44%.
Nice. Yeah, but that's a select.
I understand that, but I'm saying compared to last year, his 3-point percentage for the entire year was 17%. So there is some sort of improvement from his MVP already year that he had last year.
Yeah, and also he's a forward, and he's averaging about 14 rebounds a game, and his numbers are 29.9, 13.9, and 6.4. As a forward who's that big and that lanky to average 6.4 assists a game so far, that's impressive. Last game against Utah, 42 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. Game before that, 28, 10, and 3. Game before that, 24, 19, and 15.
He's a consistent scorer.
He's putting those numbers up on a consistent basis. But as we all know, the MVP award goes to somebody who consistently puts those numbers up and is very exciting, which is Luka.
Right now, Luka is very exciting to watch. He's fun to watch because now he pretty much has a squad around him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He has a squad around him finally. Where Porzingis, everybody's saying not everybody, but like people are saying Porzingis is having a down year. But after you tear your ACL, it takes time for you to get back.
I don't think he's having a down year. I think he's fitting into that system as
he's still scoring 18 points per game.
He's exceeding in the system, in the Rick Carlisle system.
He's still scoring 18 points per game. He has like a 40% or 47% on his field goal percentage and just under 40% in 3-point range, which isn't bad.
For a center?
For a center, that's what I'm saying. And everybody's saying he has a down year, but my issue is just like it takes time, and you'll never be at 100% whenever it comes to tearing your ACL. You won't get back to 100%. You might be 90, 95% at the most, but you won't be back to your former self where everybody called you the unicorn. Yes, you can still have that title as the unicorn, but for me, it's just more of a thing of I think Porzingis, like you said, he's fitting well into that system. He's still finding his place, but at the same time, Luka is exciting to watch. He's dominating, and I think the only reason we're talking about Luka some more is no. Oh. The other thing I think we're talking about Luka right now is just because Zion has not played. Zion hasn't played a single.
We're still gonna be talking about Luka because Zion.
I mean, obviously we'll talk about Luka, but at the same time, Zion won't have his hype just because Zion has literally not stepped foot on the NBA floor for the regular season.
Yeah,
yes,
he's not gonna be an MVP. He's not
gonna be an MVP. He might be rookie of the year.
If Ja Morant slows down.
I understand that, but dang, because Ja Morant is playing really live.
We're gonna see how he does with the team because we don't know how he's gonna play with the Pelicans because they're not looking very well. And Ja Morant,
they're 6-11. Do you think Ja Morant?
Do you think Ja Morant? I mean, Zion he's gonna escalate his team to where Ja is escalating his team because the Grizzlies aren't that good. But Ja Morant, like every game,
Ja Morant literally keeps them in games.
Yes, it's like they don't win games, but he's keeping them in them. Like they should be blown out every game because they're not good. Their roster is not good. The Pelicans roster is not a lot better than them, but they have some players. And Zion, he's good for like what, 3-4 exciting plays a game at the least.
Well, yeah, 3-4 exciting games, and he's good for at least maybe about a good 25-30 minutes a game. At least.
We'll see.
I mean, obviously he has to work his way back into it. That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, I think we're over. I think I agree with you as far as Luka, but I would still put. The way I would have it, I would have Luka, then I would maybe have either Giannis or LeBron James.
That's my 3, because LeBron's playing so good.
LeBron James, after that injury, is playing not out of his mind, but he's playing like determined.
I think it's gonna be one of them two. I think it's either gonna be the youngest MVP ever or the oldest MVP ever.
Right.
Each way we're having history, you know.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so I have 2 more questions before we end this. My first question is, I saw this thing the other day about Steve Kerr. Do you think that Steve Kerr is a really good coach, or do you think he was just handed a really good team?
I think he's a really good coach. I mean, how many coaches do you know that didn't succeed under Pop? I mean, he's a Pop guy, and he used to play.
But at the same time, really Mark Jackson was literally, if he had the opportunity, I think Mark Jackson would have had the same amount of success as Steve Kerr, because he molded, he was helping mold Curry and Klay Thompson together. Yeah, they weren't going far in the playoffs, but at the same time, they still were creating highlights. They still were 3-point specialists. And then Steve Kerr gets handed the keys, and then within I think a year or 2, they're already in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a fair thing to say now because that team just isn't good. They have some good players. They have D'Angelo Russell and they have Draymond, but everybody else.
Everybody else is young. They're
lost
rookies.
A bunch of people. Like they lost Quinn Cook. They lost. What's his name? The guy who can't shoot threes, the point guard.
Jordan Poole? No.
The point guard, he's like always in the lane. He's always passing. He can't shoot threes to save his life. The guy who's supposed to be the next LeBron, he got hurt at the beginning of his year.
Oh, snap. I don't remember.
We're still new at this, so every time I try to bring up somebody, it's kind of like I'm trying to think on the spot. So, hold on.
So he was with the Warriors?
Last year.
He
was also with the Clippers way before. Like, narrow face, fade, point guard.
He was with
lanky point guard.
Sean Livingston?
There you
go. Yeah, Sean Livingston. There we go. I was like,
Sorry, I just can't remember sometimes.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, goodness. I literally thought about it like a second right after you. I didn't look at it, but thank you, Sean. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I think he was handed the team, and now, and I don't think the system that he has with Curry and Thompson it's not going to work for this team. And
it's not because
he has to be able to at least coach somehow because they've only won 3 games. Yeah. You can't tell me that
it is hard to run a system without the pieces that the system is supposed to be built around.
No, I get that, but at the same time, you have to be able to adapt. Just like you talked about Bill Belichick's willingness to adapt. That's what makes him a great coach. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes him the GOAT. Bill Belichick's willingness to adapt. And yes, we're talking about NFL, which is totally different than NBA. But if you're a great coach, you should be able to do that.
But it's harder to execute a game plan more so in the NBA because you're not on the court. And if the players aren't that good, I mean, in the NFL, you have players executing the game plan perfectly because you have really good players. No matter if injuries happen in any sport, I get that, but there's not going to be in the NFL. Not all your star players on one side of the ball are going to get hurt. There's no way Tom Brady's getting hurt, Sonny Michel's getting hurt, James White's getting hurt, like Julian Edelman's getting hurt. There's no way they're going to go a game without all their star players. I mean, I know D'Angelo Russell's been playing really good, and he's the exception. And Draymond, he's been what he is, getting kicked out of games and stuff. But he's just there on the defensive end. You can't scheme around Draymond. You can scheme around Russell, but it's just kind of hard when the whole team isn't helping him. He had a good team.
Russell's more of a score first guard. Yeah, score first guard. There we go.
I mean, he can be a spot up shooter, but when everything has to be around him, and the team isn't that good, it's kind of hard. Like he has to make his own shot as a point guard. Like in the Nets, he had shooters everywhere, and he had a good rebounders, and he had the Nets team was really good last year with him. So, but I want to ask before we got this with the whole Luka and KP thing,
right?
Because people were saying he had a down year. I was gonna ask this, but it just came back to me for some reason. Is he having a down year? Okay, he's having a down year as like a star player, right?
Right.
That's not. I don't think that's him anymore. He's more of the second guy now. How we're saying every team has duos now, and that's their duo. He's the second guy. Like in Brooklyn, obviously people love Kyrie, the beast, but he's going to be the second guy when KD comes back.
But do you really believe that though? Do you really think he's going to be the second guy?
Is he the star? Is KP the star in Dallas? There's a team running around.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about Kyrie.
No,
do you really think Kyrie? No. Real quick. Do you really think that Kyrie is going to be Durant's?
If I had to rank them,
Robin.
If I had to rank them, yeah, because.
But his ego won't allow him to do that. At the end of the day, they can say that they're best friends. That's all they want.
It's just on the court. It was LeBron and him. It was the same thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So Kyrie does not like playing Robin.
No, I know he doesn't.
He's and it's his demise.
But maybe he won't see it that way. But like I'm saying, if I had to rank them, if you had to rank them,
I would rank them like that. I would be KD and Kyrie.
But I don't like. But how the NBA is starting to be now, I don't think that's how it is. I'll just use that as the weird. So let's use. But at
the end of the day, I'm going back to your KP statement. Yeah. I do agree that KP has he won't. I don't think he's realizing it yet. But at the same time, I do think by at least the All-Star break, he will finally be like, I'm not who I was in New York.
Yeah, he's the 2 option now.
That's what I'm saying.
As a 2 option on a team, he's doing very well. Not like if people see him, oh, this is the New York KP. He's a star. He's the first scoring option. He's not having that great of a year, but as a second scoring option on a team, he's doing well.
Right.
Just like how it's going to be Kawhi, obviously the number 1 guy in LA, and then Paul George. Paul George is a beast. Don't get me wrong; he'll be the star almost anywhere else in the NBA, but he's not Kawhi. He's not as good as.
It's
Kawhi.
just like LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
Because
That one's
AD,
kinda harder,
it's a little bit harder. It's just closer, but at the same time, I think LeBron realizes that AD is going to be the guy that I feed,
Yeah.
and I'll just score whenever I'm called upon. But at the end of the day, I think KP will realize that I'm going to, I'm going to, and
So
I
that's
always
why-
will be, not always will be, but for this team, if I want us to return to
Succeed.
championship form,
Yeah.
as far as Dallas Mavericks goes, I have to realize that I need to be the second
And
option.
I think he's starting to realize that because he knows how good Luka is, and Luka makes everybody better. And when Luka's off the court, KP tries to take over.
I never for me. I was a huge doubter in Luka because all I heard was just hype around him. But
in the draft?
in the draft,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. In the draft, everybody was just like, "You watch out for this guy."
Future,
And
of Fame.
there was a thing that Goran Dragic said a couple years ago. Goran Dragic said, funny Thomas. Goran Dragic said that he's going to be one of the premier players in the league,
and he's starting to become that.
and he said that I think whenever Luka was 16 or 17.
Luka's 20.
That's what I'm saying. He's 20 and he's already basically showcasing everything that he was doing in the European League.
Yeah, he was the best. Like, dude, he's been like you said, he's been pro for 16 years. He knows his game so well. He might know his game better than almost anybody in the NBA. So, he didn't really skip a beat coming in. But
Okay, so we talked about MVP, we talked about Luka, we talked about KP, we talked about LeBron, whatever. Okay, so my last point to this whole thing is Luka's baby Bron.
I hate the Mavericks, but I love Luka, man.
Yeah, I think the Mavericks are
And he's so funny.
they're going to be an exciting team to watch. So my last question to you is, well, kind of a two-parter. It's literally like two different questions, but they're just quick answer questions. Okay. LaMelo Ball.
Number 1. Next.
Do you really believe that he's going to be number one?
Yes. He had a triple. The youngest player to ever have a triple double in the NBL. I mean, and everyone sees how good of a court
I
he has.
love the Ball family. I love Lonzo. Yes, Lonzo's not. I don't know what's going on with him again because
Injuries. That's just his thing.
it's just that, and I feel bad for Jello because he hasn't got an opportunity because of injuries as well.
He should.
But since LaMelo has been on this journey, this way different journey compared to everybody else, like Cole Anthony or
Thanks, LeVar.
or Wiseman or who else is out there,
Thanks, LeVar.
Cassius Stanley and stuff like that, where they play in high school and then they go to college for 1 year and then they go to the NBA. LaMelo has literally been everywhere.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, we know that. But if you don't know it, Chino Hills in high school to his sophomore year, junior year, where he was supposed to stay at Chino Hills, stuff happened.
Lithuania.
He went to Lithuania, came back, wanted to play at
Spire.
Spire Prep in Ohio because he wanted to be a high schooler again. Played there 1 year, played in the Drew League, balled out in Spire and the Drew League,
Mhm.
and now he's in the NBL, and his team is trash, but at the same time,
He's keeping them in games.
he's
so
keeping them in games. He's doing what he can. He's gotten multiple double-doubles. Yes, his shot hasn't fallen until now.
So, I mean, how many players besides Cole Anthony? Because Cole Anthony did the whole Black Ops gym thing.
Right.
How many players are consistently balling with pros that were pro players in the Drew League now going and playing in the pros over there in Europe, and they're consistently just playing well? I mean, his field goal percentage is the only outlier. That's just not what you want it to be.
Because their shot, like all their shots, basically, like the only pure scorer as far as like the way they shoot the ball out of all three brothers is Jello.
Yeah.
Jello literally has like a stroke like probably like
Butter.
huh?
It's like butter.
It's pretty much like butter. Like it's the standard shot, but at the same time,
That's all he does, though.
I know, but that's all he does. But at the same time, Lonzo has been working on his shot, and it looks a little better. It doesn't look great, but at the same time, it's getting better. And LaMelo's shot is also they're both unorthodox, Lonzo and Melo. But at the same time, Melo is a better shooter than Lonzo, not necessarily more than Jello, but still, LaMelo still has that killer instinct that he wants to score the ball, he wants to pass the ball, he wants to rebound. Yes, he still needs to work on his defense. That's the only part of his game right now that you can actually say, well, he might not be worth the number one pick. But other than that, he's worth the number one pick. He's worth the ticket. Like, even though his team is trash, he's still selling out his team's arena.
If you're building a team right now, and you needed a point guard to build around, what do you want that point guard to be? Don't think of LaMelo, but think of what do you
want your point guard to be literally like a quarterback. You want him to be able to score whenever he's needed, and you want him to be a passer. You want him to be a willing passer, because if he's a willing passer, his teammates will believe in him, and his teammates will want to score for him.
You want him to have court vision.
Exactly.
Right?
You want to have court vision, high IQ. I make the passes whenever I need to. Yes, some of them are flashy, some of them are wild, but at the same time, they get there, they score the points, they do what they need to do.
And you want your guy to be good size, don't you?
Yeah, you want him to be a good size. You don't want him to be an undersized like an Aaron Brooks or a Nate Robinson.
Which is how LaMelo is and Lonzo is. So scouts look at him as a piece of clay, I feel like. They can bring him into a good pro, coaching weight room system, and they can do whatever they want with him because he already has those that he can shoot, but obviously his shot isn't falling. But they can fix that. Good coaching can fix that, and then also you can't teach court vision.
No, court vision is just literally like you growing up and you finding out where guys are and where they need to be. And where they need to be, where they're gonna be, and it just comes down to you making the right play at the right time.
Like like you said, good quarterbacks in the NFL do what? They throw their receiver open when they're covered. That is basically what LaMelo does too with his players. He's gonna throw before the players are even there, or he throws them open.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So you agree that he's gonna be at least a number one pick, if not a top 2 pick?
Yeah, he should be. I think not a lock to go number one, but. In my head, he's a lock to go number one, but it just depends who's going to be up there. If a bad team is up there,
right.
if they don't want to move from number one and they don't need a point guard, let's say the Grizzlies just tank, they're not going to take a point guard.
Right.
So it just depends who's going to be there.
If the Knicks are there, if Charlotte's there,
I think that whole thing with what's his name from the guy who got suspended,
Wiseman.
Yeah, he was supposed to go top 3. I don't know if that's the issue anymore. It might be when draft season comes around.
He still might go, but
just like I said, it depends who's there.
Right.
I don't know who the worst team, like the Warriors, are one of the worst teams. But I don't.
The Warriors.
I honestly don't see them.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. See, I think he's better than Colin Sexton. I think they can be 1 and 2. I think Colin
Sexton's more of a pure scorer. He wants to be like that number 2 guy. Not number 2 guy, but like the guy on the wing, like for instance, like a Klay Thompson or something like that, who just sits there and scores when he needs to.
I think he could be a future 6th man of the year.
Right.
But if they draft LaMelo.
Okay.
Because he does everything you want as far as like defense. He can score, but he's just not consistent.
So we believe LaMelo's going to go number 1, if not top 2, top 3 at the least.
And we haven't talked about. But Cole Anthony is.
Cole Anthony's a beast. Yes, Cole Anthony's a beast.
He's that scorer though. So, but he's
just a pure scorer. He loves to score the ball like Bi.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram. If push comes to shove, he'll score rather than pass the ball.
Yeah.
But Cole Anthony actually, I think he's a better scorer right now because he's still too lanky and he's still
he's been on a
good run, but he still needs to be able to be consistent because there's times down the stretch where he literally doesn't show up in the games. He takes too many shots in the fourth quarter that pulls his team away from actually having a chance to come back. But last question I have before we have to end.
Like 6 times.
I know. Last question we have before we end the whole amateur hour, which has pretty much been way over an hour. But the Spurs.
Bye, guys.
So the Spurs currently they're 6-11 or something like that. They're basically tied with the Pelicans, which is insane. I've never heard of Pop so far.
Why didn't we discuss this before we just?
I know.
I want to shut this down real quick.
My thing is the Spurs. Do you feel? 2-part question. Answer the question quickly so we can end the segment, so we can end the whole show.
Okay.
But number 1, do you feel the Spurs can make the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
With Pop.
with
You
Pop,
always have a chance. to make
you
the
always have a
playoffs.
chance with Pop. I believe that too. You doesn't matter because Pop can
You
coach.
can give him a middle school team, and they still have a chance.
Anyway, okay, so Pop, you give Pop a chance to make the playoffs. Does Pop retire after this year? If they make the playoffs, do you really think
That's
that
an
he's gonna?
impossible question to ask, though.
No,
I
but do
don't
you
know.
really think that he's gonna want to put up with what he has to put up with this year?
I don't think he goes out on a team that, in his head, doesn't not set the bar, but is up to par what he's used to. Because if they go and they're on the first round, that is not a team that's up to par with Pop. Obviously, he wants to win a championship.
Obviously, but
But-
that happened to him last year. Do you really think he's gonna want to go through years of just trying to?
Well, he saw promise.
Again?
He saw promise in that team, and there's also promise in this team. But
But they're not playing like a team. That's my
dude,
thing.
the refs have been screwing them. Honestly, did you see the Trailblazers game?
Yes, I know. I saw
The
that game.
refs had money on the Blazers. I should have followed their lead.
But
Dude,
that's my thing though. Like honestly,
their five isn't that bad. Like they need. That's the thing. With the Pop system, you need a good center to rebound and do the pick and roll. Their
But
center
LA
is
but-
trash. It's not LaMarcus Aldridge. He basically
no, LA plays the 4. So
Yeah,
so he plays the 5.
Patel or whatever his name is.
Patel, he's from the Raptors trade, right?
He is trash. He's not playing good. So the Spurs need a good big man. And
But do you
Pop-
think? But, I don't know,
Look,
man.
look at the 4. It's Deontay Murray, who's was a second team all NBA defensive team.
Okay.
Or whatever. 2 years ago, you have Derek White. He came into his own last year. He's been playing well.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan, LA.
I don't like DeMar DeRozan though. I don't like him.
Why? He's like another almost not. He's not Dwayne Wade, but
he's
his
a
game
bona
is
fide
similar.
Dwayne Wade. If you want to
His
say
game is similar.
something,
He doesn't shoot threes, but he's honestly he needs to get better down the stretch at times.
that's what I'm saying.
But-
Like, there's been too many times where he's not good down the stretch.
There's also times
Even
he's gone off, though.
but even in the Raptors, he still wasn't good. That's what I'm
What are you
saying,
talking about?
dude. Every time that they went to literally the playoffs, he shrunk.
That's how Kyle Lowry was before last year.
But even then, like I think Pop, I don't think he'll be able to. He'll not be able to. I don't think he'll want to put up with
I don't think
what
he
like.
retires, dude. Like, I don't.
I think he retires. I think after either this year,
Have you?
I give it 2 years. I give it the end of this year and maybe next year. If I'm being realistic, I'm thinking this year and next year, and then I think Pop says, "Okay, I'm good. I have my 5 championships.
Pop the president.
I have my 5 championships. I did what I needed to do. You know, I'm coaching the Olympics. That's all I want to do now, and all I want to do is
I
enjoy
don't think
myself."
He coaches the Olympics, though.
He's coaching the Olympics next year.
I know, as far as
Future?
I don't think he would leave the Spurs and just coach the Olympics. That's not something he would do. If he's going to coach the Olympics, he's still going to coach the Spurs. If he has coaching in him, he's going to be there in San Antonio.
I think at the end of the day, he calls it quits after 2 years. But
No.
Trey still says that he still has a lot left in the tank.
I don't want to cry. That's why I'm saying this.
Because literally, you had Timmy retire first, then Manu, then Tony this year, and then whenever Pop literally is
When he's
gonna
gone-
when he retires,
He's gonna
dude,
take-
do
he's
you
gonna take a piece of my
can
heart
you
with him. He's
imagine
gonna take a piece
how?
of my heart.
I'm not even talking about that. Could you imagine how crazy the tickets are gonna be? The ticket sales,
Yeah.
like even courtside, there'll probably be at least what, at least like an NBA Finals game.
Yeah, dude, I don't want to put that in my head.
But
Like you
I know you're not trying to put that in your head, but at the same time, you want to think you're thinking about it like what it's going to be the end of the entire Spurs dynasty whenever Pop finally decides to be like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. Not that I don't need this anymore. It's just that I've run my course. I've done what I've needed to do with the Spurs organization, and I've done everything they've asked me to do and more.
That's not a Pop quality, though. Just
I know it's not Pop quality, but
quit
he has to
when your
look
team
at
is
it.
Bad. He's been good his whole career, almost played that first year, but that's not him. He's not.
I know it's not
one
his mentality. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there has to come a time where you're just like, okay, I've literally not been able to be back into the playoffs and make a good run.
Let's end it on that because all this Pop talk is getting.
It's getting Trey emotional.
Well,
But-
yeah, and it's also been an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know it's been an hour and a half. Sorry, guys. But if you've
Shout
been
out to
watching
all-
the entire time, or if you've been catching up with us, if you came at like the 10-minute mark, 45-minute mark, the hour mark. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.
I love you, Pop.
Trey says, "Loves you, Pop." Basically, this amateur hour is just two guys. We had our brother on earlier in the show.
We'll have more people on.
We'll have more people on. You know, I've already talked to a couple people that say that, hey, I want to be on the show and stuff like that. Trust me, we will get you there. And so far, this amateur hour, thank you so much for people that have been wanting to watch. Thank you for anybody that has been telling others to watch. Literally, y'all know us, and if you want to get to know us, you can literally DM one of us and just pretty much try to get to know us. But we're just two guys who literally love talking about sports. We love.
We're just doing this for fun.
Yeah, we're just doing this for fun. You know, we're having a good time. I love talking sports. I can literally talk about it for hours and hours. But at the same time, you know, we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this for clout or stuff like that. We just want to have fun. We just want to chat it just because we're two normal guys. You know, if you know us, you know that we're just regular people. Once again, I'm Roderick. This is Trey, and hopefully you'll see a couple of new faces on Amateur Hour. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. And you know, y'all have a good night. Y'all enjoy y'all's Monday night, and also a happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving to all of y'all. You know, eat a lot of turkey. You know, do what you do. Be safe. Whoever plays football or whatever you do as far as family tradition. Hopefully there's no arguments. Hopefully there's no fights that come about your Thanksgiving. Maybe filled with love. Maybe filled with memories. Maybe filled with joy, laughter, crying of joy and stuff like that. But at the same time, thank you so much, guys. And we hope to see you either next week, sometime, either Monday or during the week. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And God bless y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Go Stars. You got to throw that in there.